everyone, and welcome to Real Wood Matters, a Real Wood podcast where we discuss the ins and outs of the forest products industry, from forest management to furniture trends. On this episode, we have Missouri Forest Products Association Executive Director Brian Brookshire here with us, ready to share his expertise on the forest products industry and the future of the forest. Let's dive right in. Thanks for being here today, Brian.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Let's go. We'll devote this episode of Real Wood Matters to the future, but let's look back briefly. Tell us about the educational programs that the MFPA did in 2024.
Well, we did a lot of work focusing on kids. When we talk about the future, to me, that necessitates us talking to the kids. So we've focused on establishing some educational programs in schools across Missouri. We've got a number of programs that we offer. We have a program called Truth About Trees. That's actually a full curriculum that can be provided to teachers that allows them to teach the kids about forests, forestry, and wood products, and creates an opportunity for them to really get the message out on forests and forestry. The other exciting thing that we've launched in 2024 is called the Marvelous Magic Tree Show. This show is obviously a magic show that we offer to the schools, and we have a young man by the name of Elliot the Entertainer. He comes in and does a show with the kids. It's very interactive, a lot of magic, of course, and it really talks to them about the importance of forests in Missouri, how those result in forest products, and tries to emphasize to the kids on the fact that good forest management allows the opportunity for them to have good wood products in their home. So that's a great program for us. We've also, in 2024, we engaged with the Magic House in St. Louis, created an opportunity for us to go in and they have what's called a construction zone in the Magic House, and that construction zone, until we got involved, didn't have much solid hardwood in it. For example, they had some flooring examples out there and so forth, but we asked them if they would allow us to go in and do a little renovation in their construction zone, and we did that. We were able to put in some hardwood flooring, some new hardwood cabinets and vanities and workbenches and wainscoting that talk about the different wood species in the state of Missouri, and just a great opportunity for us to sort of display the types of hardwood that we have in Missouri for the very interactive exhibit there for the kids. They also have what they call a little ranger station there, which is really focused on the forest management side. So the kids can go in there and learn about forestry and how the forests are managed and harvested, and really kind of provides an opportunity for them to learn a little bit about the fact that tree harvesting can be a good thing, and it can make the forest healthy and sustainable over time. So that's some examples of what we've done in 2024.
Fantastic. I know my nieces would absolutely adore the Marvelous Magical Tree Show. They love magic. They love nature. They'd love to hear about that. I do wonder, though, do you have all of these available in 2025, and is there anything new coming?
Yeah, so in 2025, we will certainly offer those programs. We actually exhibited at the State Fair in 2024, and we created a list of contacts, if you will. There was obviously the State Fair attracts a lot of the teachers from across the state, particularly in rural Missouri. They're always looking for opportunities of new things to teach the kids and a curriculum and so forth. So we came away from there with a very strong sign up of folks that wanted our Truth About Trees kit, and also the magic show to come. We will continue on with those efforts in 2025. We've also just recently participated on writing a book called Little Tree in a Big Forest. And Paige Halsey from the St. Louis area. Some people may know Paige. She's the one that authored the book and worked with us to really tell a really fascinating story about how a tree kind of grows up in the forest and ends up being, turned into a piece of furniture that we can sort of convey that message on from forest to wood product. And she did it in a very interactive, wonderful way. And the pictures and so forth in the book are fantastic. And it was great. So we were happy to partner with Paige on that project. And so that book is now available in print for folks that would like to purchase it. So we're also excited about that. We've also intend to in 2025 launch a character called Jack Lumber Forest Responder. So that we're very excited about this new guy that can come into the schools and he's going to have a really cool costume that he wears and comes in and talks to the kids about forests and forestry and do it in a very interactive way, obviously. And we're hoping that that's going to be a real treat for the kids that would like to have a visit from Jack Lumber Forest Responder.
That sounds like the most fun afternoon imaginable to have a real life superhero visit your school.
That's right.
Oh my goodness. Aside from all of these amazing opportunities, what do you see as the opportunities and even the challenges that the forest products industry is facing this year and in the near future?
Well, the biggest challenge globally is just the utilization of wood products. Over the past 15 or 20 years across the country, forest product utilization has reduced by about half, unfortunately, over that period of time. So we have a tremendous amount of work to do to get solid wood back into the marketplace. That's a lot of work that we need to do, and it's a tremendous challenge. Forest products from Missouri and from the U.S. from that standpoint is that's a global product. We rely a lot on exporting those materials all over the world, and so there's a lot of challenges on forest product utilization across the country. We also see challenges in the industry in terms of being able to hire the right people to come in and work for us. The forest products industry here in Missouri offers a whole host of opportunities for people that want to come into the industry. That the one thing about the forest products industry is you cannot be allergic to work. The industry requires that there's some hard work associated with it, but it's extremely satisfying on the products that we produce and in the industry that you're involved in. But, we have folks that we need to work in our sawmills, for example, flooring plants, the manufacturing operations. But we also need people that are willing and able to work in the forest and harvest timber. And there's a whole host of those kinds of job opportunities, folks that operate skidders and loaders and so forth, that if you have that kind of interest in being involved in heavy equipment and machinery, it's a pretty exciting occupation, actually, and profession working in the logging industry. And we also have a number of companies that use very mechanized equipment where you're basically sitting in a cab and you're dealing with a lot of dials and buttons and knobs and everything else operating this very technical equipment to mechanically harvest trees. They rarely get on the ground. You're not standing on the ground. You're in the cab selecting the trees to harvest, and that huge machine actually cuts that tree, grapples around the tree, and lays it on the ground. And you got to really have people with some ability to operate those kinds of machines. And we hire a lot of maintenance folks and all kinds of different people in our industry. and we need those folks working for us in the forest products industry.
I mean, you just talked a lot about the forest products industry and the need to have people working in it. And you mentioned how it's been difficult to recruit the next generation of lumber professionals and all of the different kinds of jobs. But I can't help but think there must be people out there that would want to work in the woods and would love to work in the woods. I mean, anytime I'm driving down 55 or 44, any of these St. Louis freeways, and I see work crews on the side of the road, they're working out in the hot sun, there's asphalt fumes, there's machinery and cars whizzing by, and I just want to roll down my window and shout, "There's a better way! You could be working out in the woods. You could be in big machinery. You could be with nature, breathing fresh air." How would you... Or rather, what would you say to workers like that who think about working in your industry but haven't quite taken that step? What would you say to draw them in?
Well, I think a lot of the folks that we attract into our industry are the young people that live in rural Missouri, for example, and they want to stay living in that area. They want to stay on the farm. They want to stay in the family business, and they sort of grow up in the forest products industry in some parts of the state. So that's always a pool of folks that we draw from. But our industry is going to attract the young people that have an interest in working hard for a good day's pay. That's what it's going to take to be in the industry, and we're always looking for those kind of folks. It's a very production oriented atmosphere, and the more you produce, the more money you're going to make. I feel like it's a great opportunity for people that want to work outside and be involved in that. And a lot of times you end up being your own boss. These opportunities in the forest products industry are ones that a lot of times lead to owning your own company, owning your own logging business. And we just have a lot of people that want to, they want to run their own crew. They want to do their own thing. And our industry is really catered to that.
I can think of quite a few people that I might have to send your way because they would really, really enjoy that.
We could use them. Yeah, we could use them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that there's also another group of professionals, another batch of professionals, if you will, that you all want to reach. And that would be designers, architects, home buyers, even builders and appraisers too. I want to talk through the challenges that MFPA and the industry at large faces with those groups, just individually. So let's start with architects and designers. What are some of the challenges you all face in reaching them?
Well, it's a great question because I've personally worked to try to engage more with architects and designers over the years and tried to do a better job of learning what's important for them to have from us in the industry that can get our products in their projects. That's really important to us, and how, what it would take for them to consider solid wood versus some alternative product from somewhere else. It's really sort of heartbreaking to me when I will walk into big projects, maybe in St. Louis or Kansas City, big commercial projects, and I see mahogany or bamboo or something that's come in from another part of the world, and I'm thinking, why can't we get Missouri products in these projects? What does it take to engage with folks? I think we have the ability now to provide to the professionals in this field of architecture and design. We have the information to give them on the sustainability of our products. We've got the environmental gold standard when it comes to hardwood and real wood products. And, I know a lot of that is very important to folks that work in those fields and are designing these projects. And what we're trying to do is just find ways to engage and educate and have them ask us questions about, the products and what does it take to get something, identified that they could use. And so we are really working hard to try to figure out how to do a better job of making them more knowledgeable about our products and understanding them and getting them identified in projects anywhere across the country.
And from my understanding, architects and designers work a lot with home builders. So can we talk about them next? What challenges do you all face in reaching them?
Well, it's home builders that's another area I've really tried to work hard on trying to, and what I'm honestly trying to do is to have these people tell me, okay, what have we, where have we missed the boat? Why is the alternative flooring products, why are we seeing so much of that in homes versus real hardwood flooring? And, tell me what can we do better? What can we provide, if anything? And it's very challenging. I know that, home building, like everything else, has changed a lot. They're on very short deadlines. They're making, they got everything scheduled out very quickly. And that's probably one of the primary challenges on working with real wood, is that it doesn't fit very well into a box or into a pigeonhole on, okay, if, when a home is being built, if they've got one day to install the flooring in that home, you can't get a solid hardwood floor put down in one day. So, is there a way to convince the builders that, okay, our products are going to really increase the value of that home? It's gonna, it's gonna sell faster. It's going to be, a more beautiful, elegant home. What can we do to help change that scenario a little bit? And frankly, that we haven't done a very good job of that. And we need to figure out, think out of the box a little bit and see if we can fit back into that. Because, the alternative fake products that are out there, they're quick and easy to install, and everything is fast. And real hardwood, it's more of the craftsman type folks that are putting it down. Not that they don't work fast; they're working as fast as they can, but it's just, frankly, it's a slower process. So, is there anything that we can do to manage that process differently, where we can get our products in these homes?
Now tell me about the appraisers and the challenges you face in reaching them.
I hear all the time about the fact that, basically we all kind of know the scenario of particularly if you're buying a new home, you have to get it appraised at a certain value to get the home loan on it. And that typically the real hardwood finishes that you would put in a home, either on the floor, door casings, molding, millwork, whatever it might be, stair treads. If you put real wood in there, that's obviously a more expensive, much more valuable product, that the home is not being appraised to equal that addition in value that you're putting in with real hardwood. So again, it's a matter of engaging with folks and seeing what we can do to make them recognize that when you compare the homes with the fake products in it versus the real wood products, those real wood product homes are going to be more valuable, and we'd like to see them appraised accordingly. So it's another area that we got to work on.
And finally, the home buyers, the people actually looking to live in these homes and enjoy the wood floors, the wood products. Tell me about reaching them.
Well, that's the easiest sell that we've got, actually, because when people go into a home, if they're comparing any home with real wood products in it to those that don't, there's this score called a joy score that people use. I think realtors use them pretty commonly. Folks seem to be pretty familiar with a joy score. And every time it seems like a joy score for a home that has real wood in it, those scores are sort of a 1 to 10 type of score, 1 being the least, the 10's the best. The homes with the solid hardwood flooring, the solid wood products throughout the home tend to always get a 10 out of 10 joy score. And so, the issue, of course, becomes the ability to, what the value of those homes are, because typically what you're going to find is they're more expensive, the ones that are solid, and because you kind of expect to pay more for it. But then that comes back to the appraisal. So, a person's got to have the correct appraisal in order to be able to buy that home, because in most cases, they want the home with the real wood. They just think that they can't afford it. And they may or may not. I don't know, but we'd like to at least be able to be in the ballpark of having people recognize the great things with all this real wood and have an opportunity to have that in their home.
Well, folks, you heard it here first. If you're an architect, a designer, an appraiser, a home builder, or a buyer, if you have any questions about real wood, you know to go to Brian Brookshire. If you want to talk to him about using real wood in your products, go to Brian Brookshire. He'll answer your questions, anything you have to ask, and he'll be there to ask some questions on how the wood industry can meet you halfway.
The important part about using real wood in construction is the longevity. A lot of products these days are marketed that they have a lifespan of 30, 50 years, and I think that that's silly because that's not very long.
Just the beauty of natural wood, floors, trim, walls, doors, windows, anything that is natural wood, in my mind, is far more beautiful than anything that man can make himself.
If you put it into a hardwood floor or cabinets or whatever, and it's just a warmer feeling. You come home to a home that's got hardwood floors and nice cabinets and all a natural product, and it's just nice to be in.
I want to move on a little bit more, diverging from home building, home buying. I understand that home appraisers themselves may impact the industry in a negative way. Can you explain that just a little bit more to me?
Well, I just think that it may, and I'm not saying anything about appraisers. I mean, I respect the work that those folks have to do. I think what the issue becomes is we just need to recognize, hopefully, the cost and the value of real wood versus the alternative products, because we may have the exact same square footage home. They may both be, for example, 2,000 square foot home, but they're finished drastically different. One has, mainly fake products in it that are exposed, the stuff you see in your home, and the other has the real wood products. We just like them to be able to recognize that is a more valuable home with those real wood products in it. That's the facts. It's a more valuable home because of the products that are in it, and we'd like to see those appraisals reflect that.
I've never had a home appraised. I have not owned a home. And though I can definitely see the value in having real wood products that I believe I've heard you say before can last for centuries instead of something like vinyl that would only last for 7 years.
That's right. Yeah, when you the great thing about solid wood is it's typically 3/4 of an inch thick, And you can sand that a lot before it becomes too thin that you can't use it anymore. And the nice thing about these days with real wood, the stains and the finishes and how you can sort of accentuate the beautiful grain that's in real wood is the sky's sort of the limit these days. It's not like, because I hear a lot, well, I want to be able to change what everything looks like every 7 or 8 or 10 years. Well, you can certainly do that with real wood. I mean, you can, if it's stained very dark when you built the home, or when the first time that you put your floors in, for example, sand it all off and whitewash it the next time if you want to. It's just, it's extremely flexible on how it looks. But what you never lose is, number one, the warmth and just the sturdiness or the strength of this solid wood in your home and the character of that grain. You're never going to lose that. And you can just bring that grain out in different ways with stains and finishes for as long as you own that home. So there's every ability to change the look of it a lot, and you're never tearing that stuff out and putting it into a landfill like you are the alternative products. If you've got a plastic floor in your home or a linoleum or whatever, you can't bring a sander in and refinish it. You got to tear it out, and the materials that you use to glue it down with and install it, that stuff all has toxic fumes associated with it and everything else. When you're putting this wood in, it's typically nails and labor.
That's good to know. That's really, really good to know for any future home buyers or current home buyers out there. I want to switch gears just a little bit to something I've been hearing a lot about, especially recently, wildfires and forest fires. I heard about them out in California, but I haven't heard about any here in Missouri. That doesn't seem to be an issue in Missouri. Can you tell me why it's not, and what environmental issues Missouri does see in its forests?
Sure. So the regarding fires, number one, we have what's commonly referred to as an oak hickory forest in the state of Missouri, as compared to the western forests that are dominated by species like you hear of ponderosa pine, Douglas fir, those kinds of forest species that are out in the west. And it's just by nature extremely dry. And most of those fires are natural. They're caused by lightning or some other natural event that's causing that forest to actually light on fire because it's just so dry. And frankly, it would be beneficial if they managed the forest itself differently and thinned it out so there wasn't as much fuel on the forest floor and so forth, that they would be much better off. But they haven't been doing that very well in the West. There are some arson fires in the West as well that starts some of those big wildland fires. But in Missouri, our forests are much more wet, if you will, or they're referred to as mesic type forests. And so we just don't have hardly any of the lightning strike type of natural fires. If we have a forest fire in the state of Missouri, it's typically arson or somebody out burning leaves and it gets away from them. And in most cases, for a few, if it burns a few acres, we can get it put out. Or, a big forest fire in Missouri, we've had a few of those over the years, but relatively speaking, they're very, very small to the western big wildfires. But the big difference is that we just don't have those naturally occurring fires in the state of Missouri.
And in the state of Missouri, are there any environmental factors or dangers or issues that impact us, impact our forests? And if they exist, how do we mitigate them?
Yeah, so most of what we have to deal with in Missouri are issues that are caused by disease and insects. I mean, we've had some things in the past called red oak borer where, that borer has come out in a big way in the Ozarks, for example, bored into many of the red oak trees that are out there and caused a lot of issues. Now, a lot of times those are just naturally occurring events with insect outbreaks that come and go. But the best thing that we can do in Missouri to mitigate that is just have the forest managed properly. Have it in a condition where the forest is been managed, it's healthy, it's sustainable, it has adequate water and sunlight to sustain maximum growth, and that's how those trees are going to sort of survive these insect and disease outbreaks that come and go in our forest. The biggest issues that we have is if we have some of these outbreaks that are occurring in forests that have not been managed, they're way too crowded, they're sick, they're unhealthy, and then when an insect outbreak comes along, it may end up killing a large portion of that forest just because that tree doesn't have the ability to fight off that invasion, whatever it is. So you want that tree to be healthy. It's a lot like humans. I mean, when something comes along, you want to be, that healthy people will be able to kind of fight off the things that come along in our lives, and the same thing with trees.
That's very interesting that humans are like trees in that way. We don't all have rings, though.
Yeah, that's right.
I've heard. Can you talk a little bit more about forests that go unmanaged? Are those, because backing up, I've heard that there are private versus public forests, and it sounds to me like public forests get more management. So then, using my thinking cap, would it be the private forests that are most at risk for those diseases?
Well, actually, it's I think the ownership in Missouri, for example, private forests have a lot more management activity on them compared to public forests in the state of Missouri. So, private forest land management is of course, that's up to the objective of the landowner on what they want to do with their land, and the bulk of the harvesting that happens in the state of Missouri, about 80 to 85% of all of the timber harvest that occurs in the state of Missouri comes off private land. And public land, the management is sometimes less, but they have different objectives too. The different landowners have different objectives for forest management and what they want to accomplish. So state or federal land gets a certain amount of forest management conducted on their property, but there may be other things that they're trying to achieve on their property, so not as much forest management is being conducted. But in the state of Missouri, most of the forest products come off of private land.
Well, I learned something new today. In the time we have left, let's talk about MFPA, the Missouri Forest Products Association. Who should join this association? What does it cost? And what do your members get for their membership fee?
Well, in my view, as director of the association, every industry in the state should join MFPA. It's a no-brainer. No, seriously, it's we're the voice of the forest products industry. So MFPA, we've represented the industry here in Missouri for over 50 years. We do a tremendous amount of work with outreach and education with our members. We inform them about regulatory issues coming down the pike, for example. We keep them informed of everything that they need to do to be compliant with state and federal regulations. We do a tremendous amount of legislative work on their behalf, both at the state and federal level. And we just keep the industry informed of all the issues that are facing them, and it's our job to solve those issues, work on their behalf. That's why we exist. So MFPA has a number of membership categories. So we have categories that are called industry members, for example, they're the ones that they have a sawmill, or they're a secondary manufacturer. There might be a pallet plant, for example. So that's sort of called primary and secondary processing in Missouri. We've got a logging category. We got an associate member category, which are the companies that provide services into the industry. And every one of those categories have a different membership cost, and a lot of that is based on numbers of employees that they have or the sales that they have in the industry. And the best way to look at how all that's laid out is to visit moforest.org. And that lays out all of our membership categories and the costs associated with joining MFPA. And I'd really encourage folks to take a look at what we're doing, and all the promotion work that we're now doing on their behalf. And we're working hard to represent the industry, and we need the industry to be in our membership in order for that all to work.
That's all wonderful to know, Brian. And again, if you want to join the Missouri Forest Products Association, or have questions, or just want to know more information, that's moforest.org, moforest.org. Thank you all for watching, for listening. That's all we have for today's episode. Thank you to our guest, Brian. Thank you to our sponsor, Choose Wood. And once again, thank you for watching, and choose wood.